I never thought I'd end up in a war over a dirt road. But that's exactly what happened. A war I didn't start, one I never wanted but I sure as hell wasn't gonna lose. See, I bought this little piece of land out in Carter's Hollow 3 years ago, after spending the better part of 2 decades looking over my shoulder in federal security work. I wasn't looking for trouble, just quiet long gravel driveway, a dog named Rusty, and the kind of peace that doesn't need explaining. But peace, as it turns out, is only priceless until someone thinks it's in their way. They say every kingdom has its borders. Mine had a metal gate and a line on a survey map. And that was enough for me, anyway. For everyone else? Not so much. It started with tire tracks. Folks using my drive as a shortcut to shave 5 minutes off their morning commute. I posted signs. Big, clear ones. Private road. No trespassing. Most people ignored them. Some even waved as they rolled past like I was the neighborhood greeter instead of the guy they were trespassing on. But the real problem came in a two-tone SUV with HOA plates and a license plate that said PRZ Karen. Her name was actually Deborah Prescott, but everyone just called her D. She was the kind of HOA president who thought God had issued her a clipboard at birth. Dee didn't just ignore the signs, she weaponized them. The morning I installed the gate, she stood on the other side of it, arms crossed, lips pursed, barking into a Bluetooth headset like she was commanding a strike team. She saw me walking down the driveway, gave the gate a little kick, and said, "This isn't going to stand. That road's been open for years." I kept my voice calm, my hands in my pockets. "It's been used for years. Doesn't make it yours." She glared at me, spat out something about easement law, said her brother was a city planner, and swore I'd be hearing from the HOA. She wasn't bluffing. That night, I got the first letter, fancy letterhead, legal tone, accusing me of blocking a community access route and ordering the gate removed in 7 days. The fine? $800. I read it twice, chuckled dryly, then filed it in a folder I labeled nonsense. Rusty, curled up by the fireplace, let out a low huff like he agreed. But it didn't stop there. The letters kept coming. My grass was too long by ½ an inch. My chicken coop was unpermitted. My mailbox was the wrong shade of brown. I wasn't even technically in the HOA boundary, but that didn't matter to Dee. She was trying to break me down with bureaucracy. Death by fine print. I wasn't about to play Tim. My granddad raised me better than that. You don't let folks redraw your lines just 'cause they think it's convenient, he used to say. Hold your ground but do it clean. So, I started documenting everything. Installed cameras. Logged every violation notice. Took photos, recorded calls. Every insult, every threat, every shady attempt to twist the rules into a cudgel. And then came the county inspector. Showed up in a dusty pickup, clipboard in hand. Said there'd been a complaint about obstruction of a public easement. I invited him in, offered coffee, laid out the deed, the survey, the camera footage. Guy was decent, exhausted but fair. After walking the property and comparing maps, he sighed and said, "This is your land, sir. No easement, no violations. Looks like someone's trying to push you around." Damn right. But here's where the story turns. See, I couldn't figure out why Dee cared so much. Why the obsession with that stretch of road? It wasn't just about power, Anna Marie, it felt personal. That night, I dug deeper. Sifted through old HOA filings, property maps, county planning records, and buried in a half-scanned appendix from a 20-year-old development proposal. I found it. A hand-drawn map. It showed a proposed equestrian trail right through my land connecting to a parcel behind the ridge. A parcel that, according to state records, had just been acquired by a company called Hollow Ridge Ventures, which, funny enough, had Dee's brother listed as a principal officer. That's when it hit me. They weren't trying to reopen some forgotten trail for community access. They were trying to force an easement through my land to increase the value of their development project. My little gravel driveway was the missing link in a multi-million-dollar scheme, and I was the guy who refused to move. I could have gone scorched earth. Sent everything to the papers. filed a lawsuit. Hell, I had enough EVY-DNK to burn them both to the ground. But I didn't. Not yet. I wanted them to show their hand. And, oh, did they? The emergency HOA meeting notice came the next day. Topic: ongoing violations by member J. Callahan. It was scheduled for a Thursday night at the community clubhouse. They were trying to bury me publicly. What they didn't know was that I'd already dug their grave. That week, my house looked like a war room. I printed everything needs: maps, letters, footage, mounted it on boards, edited the gate footage into a 2-minute clip. You can see Dee yelling, kicking the gate, and then clear as day bumping it with her SUV. I queued everything on a flash drive. Rusty stayed by my side the whole time, like he knew this wasn't just another town hall gripe session. That night, the clubhouse was packed. More people than I'd ever seen at an HOA event. Dee stood at the front in a red blazer, smiling like a politician about to deliver a eulogy she wrote herself. She ran through the agenda, then launched into her speech. Called me a rogue element. Accused me of endangering community cohesion. Claimed I'd blocked a historical access point. When she finished, they opened the floor. I walked up slowly, plugged in my laptop, took a deep breath. And then I let the truth roll. I showed them the footage. Played the clip. You could hear a pin drop. I laid out the maps, the deed, the inspector's report, all of it. Every time Dee tried to interrupt, I paused and smiled. You'll get your turn. And then I dropped the hammer. I pulled up the shell company records, showed the development map, pointed to Dee's brother's name, explained the conflict of interest, the abuse of HOA authority, the real reason she wanted my road opened. The room exploded. People shouted. Board members looked like they wanted to melt into the carpet. Old man Clevenger stood up, been quiet all evening, and said, I knew this HOA had problems. I didn't know it was corruption. A woman in the back called out, I want an audit. And then Sarah, the treasurer, who'd always been quiet and cautious, stood and said, I motion for a vote of no confidence in President Prescott. They voted right then and there. Dee was out. Unanimous. She stood there, mouth open, trying to speak, but no one was listening anymore. Her brother had already slipped out the back. And as I gathered my papers, Liam's old buddy who'd come along for moral support started clapping. Slow, dramatic, just for fun. A few people joined in. It wasn't thunderous, but it was enough. After that, things changed. The gate stayed. The road stayed mine. The audit happened. Turned out Dee had been using HOA funds for landscaping that never happened, for a community improvement project that ended up being a hot tub in her backyard. Her reputation collapsed. Her house went on the market 3 weeks later. The new board reached out, offered me a formal apology, and rescinded all the bogus fines. They even said the bylaws. No more HOA authority over properties outside the core subdivision. No more secret votes. And mandatory transparency clauses for every future action. Rusty and I got our peace back. These days, I sit on the porch with my coffee, watching the sun rise over the hills, the gate standing firm in the distance. Sometimes a car slows near the entrance, sees the signs, and keeps going. Just the way it should be. And every now and then, I think about how far I had to go to defend a strip of gravel most folks wouldn't even notice. But it wasn't about the road, it was about the principle. About knowing when to stand your ground and when to speak your truth. My granddad used to say, there's a difference between being stubborn and being right. Just make sure you know which one you are. I knew. And now I want to ask you, if you were in my shoes, would you have fought back? Or would you have folded under the weight of paper threats and fake authority? Let me know in the comments, because in a world full of Dee Prescotts, sometimes the only thing standing between you and losing what's yours is the courage to say, no, not today.